The great hall stretched for miles in every direction. Thousands of creatures filled the floating platforms that hung in the air like metal clouds. Some had wings, others had tentacles, and many looked like nothing Jake Morrison had ever seen. Before, the air buzzed with the sounds of 100 different languages being translated by the machines floating near each delegate. Jake stood on the small platform reserved for Earth's representatives. His uniform felt heavy on his shoulders. Next to him, Dr. Lisa Kane kept checking her notes for the 100th time. Admiral Pete Collins stared straight ahead, his jaw set tight. They all knew this was not going well. The Galactic Council had been debating for 3 days. 3 days of listening to species after species explain why humanity was too dangerous to remain free. Jake had heard it all before during the pre-trial hearings, but it still made his stomach turn. The humans eliminated every large predator on their planet, said the Zephyrian ambassador. His crystal body caught the light from the chamber's artificial suns and threw rainbows across the walls. No other species in known history has done this. They killed their own wolves, their bears, their great cats. They drove their ocean predators to extinction. A wave of worried clicks and hisses rippled through the assembly. Jake wanted to stand up and explain, but the rules were clear. Earth could only speak when asked a direct question. The Valkorian military representative rose next.
Right.
She was 7 feet tall, with scales that shifted from green to black as she spoke. Our observers have studied human warfare for 50 years. They fight with an intensity that frightens even us. They have weapons that can destroy entire continents, yet they point these weapons at each other. They cannot be trusted with such power. More agreement from the crowd. Jake felt sweat drip down his back despite the cool air in the chamber. A delegate from the Krovaxi Mining Confederation stood up. His reptilian head swayed back and forth as he spoke. Humans reproduce too quickly and consume too many resources. On their own planet, they have already used up much of their fresh water and breathable atmosphere. They've cut down their forests and poisoned their oceans. If they spread to other worlds, they will do the same thing everywhere. Dr. Lisa Kane leaned over and whispered to Jake, "They're not wrong about the environmental problems, but they don't understand that we're trying to fix them." Jake nodded but said nothing. The rules were the rules. The debate continued for hours. Species after species stood up to explain why humanity posed a threat to galactic peace. They talked about human aggression, human expansion, human unpredictability. They showed video footage of Earth's wars, its pollution, its crowded cities. What they didn't show was human art, human music, human literature. They didn't mention human medicine or human engineering. They ignored the fact that humans had ended most diseases on their planet and were working to clean up their environment. They said nothing about human curiosity or human kindness. Finally, the chief administrator called for Earth's final statement. Jake stood up and walked to the center platform. His footsteps echoed in the vast chamber. Thousands of alien eyes focused on him. "Honored delegates," Jake began, his voice carried by the translation systems to every corner of the hall. "We understand your concerns. Humans have made mistakes. We have fought wars and damaged our planet. But we have also learned from these mistakes." He paused and looked around the room. Some delegates were paying attention. Others were already preparing their votes. "You say we eliminated our predators, and this is true. But we didn't do it because we were afraid of them. We did it because we had to survive. Every species here faced the same choice when they developed intelligence. The difference is that our predators were stronger and more dangerous than yours." A few murmurs of interest came from the crowd. Jake continued, "Say we are too aggressive, and sometimes this is true. But this aggression has also driven us to explore, to discover, to push beyond what others thought possible. We reached the stars in less time than any species in your records." The Valkorian delegate made a dismissive gesture. "Aggression without wisdom is destruction." "Then judge our wisdom by our actions here today," Jake replied. "We could have come to this galaxy with weapons and conquest. Instead, we came with open hands asking to join your community. We shared our technology and our knowledge freely. We followed your laws and respected your customs." He took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide everything. You fear us because you think we will do to you what you are about to. Do to us? You think we will enslave and oppress because that is what you know? But humans learned something different during our evolution. We learned that the strongest survive not by destroying others, but by working together. The hall fell. Silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. If you vote to enslave us today, you will discover something about humans that you have not yet understood. We are not dangerous because we are violent. We are dangerous because we adapt. We survive. We overcome. Jake returned to his platform. The voting began immediately. The process took 2 hours. Each species had to register their vote through their translation device. The results appeared on the massive screens that hung above the chamber. Zephyrians, vote to enslave. Valkorians, vote to enslave. Crovaxi, vote to enslave. One by one, every species voted the same way. Jake watched the numbers climb. 100 votes to enslave, 0 votes for freedom. 200 votes to enslave. 500 votes, 800 votes. Dr. Lisa Kane was crying quietly. Admiral Pete Collins looked like he wanted to punch something. Jake just watched the numbers. 1,150 votes to enslave. 1,180 votes. 1,190 votes. Finally, the last vote was cast. The chief administrator's voice boomed through the hall. The Galactic Council has voted. 1,200 species in favor of enslaving humanity. 0 species opposed. 0 abstentions. The crowd erupted in cheers and relieved sounds. Many delegates were already leaving their platforms, eager to get back to their normal lives now that the human problem was solved. The human species will be relocated to labor worlds throughout the galaxy, the chief administrator continued. Families will be separated to prevent organization. Humans will work in mining, agriculture, and manufacturing under strict supervision. Population growth will be limited. The sentence will be carried out immediately. Jake stepped forward one last time. The noise in the chamber died down as the translation systems picked up his voice. You have made your decision, he said calmly. But I want you to remember this moment. Remember that you had a choice. You could have chosen trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. Instead, you chose fear and oppression. He looked directly at the Zephyrian ambassador, then at the Valkorian military leader, then at the Crovaxi mining boss. You think you know what? Humans are capable of when we are free. Today you will begin to learn what we are capable of when we are not. The chamber security forces were already moving toward the Earth platform. Jake, Lisa, and Pete were taken into custody without resistance. As they were led away, Jake called out one final message that echoed through the Great Hall. You voted to enslave us because you were afraid of what we might become. You were right to be afraid, but you were wrong about when you should have been. Afraid. You should have been afraid of this moment, not of our freedom. The heavy doors closed behind them. The Galactic Council continued with their regular business. It's confident that they had solved the human problem once and for all. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The transport ships arrived 3 days later. Humanity's enslavement had begun. But so had something else, something the aliens could not yet understand. Humanity's education was about to begin. And humans were very good students. The transport ship smelled like metal and fear. Sam Parker sat on the hard bench with 47 other humans, all heading to different worlds. The Crovaxi guards stood near the doors, their reptilian eyes watching every movement. They had weapons, but they seemed relaxed. After all, where could the humans go on a spaceship traveling between stars? Sam looked around at his fellow prisoners. There was Maria Santos, a teacher from Mexico City. Next to her sat Bobby Chen, a mechanic from Detroit. In the corner, Dr. Nancy White tried to comfort a crying child whose parents had been sent to a different ship. These people looked broken, defeated. The aliens probably thought they had one already. They were wrong. The journey to Kepler 438b took 2 weeks. During that time, Sam watched everything. He memorized the guard schedules, studied the ship's layout during their daily exercise walks. Most importantly, he listened to the Crovaxi guards when they thought the humans could not understand their language. The translation devices only worked one way. Humans could understand alien languages, but the aliens assumed humans could not speak back in their tongues. This was their first mistake. Sam had always been good with languages. During the 2-week journey, he picked up enough Crovaxi words to understand their conversations. The guards talked about the mining operations on Kepler 438b. They complained about the dangerous work and poor conditions. They mentioned equipment failures and supply shortages. More importantly, they talked about other human shipments. Sam learned that humans were being scattered across 47 different worlds. The aliens planned to separate families and friends to prevent any kind of organization. They wanted isolated humans who would be too sad and confused to cause trouble. When the ship finally landed on Kepler 438b, Sam got his first look at his new prison. The planet was mostly rock and metal with a thin atmosphere. The mining facilities looked like metal boxes scattered across a gray landscape. Everything was designed for function, not comfort. The Crovaxi supervisor, a large reptilian creature named Hexeth, addressed the new arrivals. "You are here to work in the lithium mines. You will dig, you will carry, you will obey. Those who work hard will eat well. Those who cause trouble will not eat at all." Sam raised his hand. "Sir, I am an engineer. I know about mining equipment and safety procedures. I want to help make the operations more efficient." Hexeth looked surprised. Most humans had arrived crying or angry. This one seemed eager to work. "You will start in the deep mines like everyone else," Hexeth said. "If you prove useful, maybe you get better jobs later." Sam nodded and smiled. "Thank you, sir. I won't disappoint you." The other humans stared at Sam like he had lost his mind. They did not understand yet. Sam was not giving up. He was beginning. Meanwhile, on the agricultural world of New Eden, Amy Chen was having a similar conversation with her Valtarian supervisors. New Eden was a beautiful planet with vast forests and clean rivers. The biodomes where humans would work growing food looked like crystal palaces under the alien sun. Amy had been a botanist on Earth, specializing in food production systems. When the Valtarian agricultural director Zelamor asked if any humans had farming experience, Amy stepped forward immediately. "I have studied plant biology for 15 years, she said. "I know how to increase crop yields and prevent plant diseases. I want to help feed people." Zelamor was pleased. The Valtarians were plant-like beings themselves, and they respected anyone who understood growing things. "You will work in Biodome 7. If you do good work, you may supervise other humans." Amy bowed respectfully. "I will do my best work for you." That night, as the humans were locked in their dormitory, Amy's fellow prisoners questioned her decision. "Why are you helping them?" asked Jerry Kim, a former restaurant owner from Los Angeles. "These creatures destroyed our lives. They separated us from our families." Amy looked around to make sure the guards were not listening. "Because I want access to their agricultural systems. I want to learn how they grow food, what their plants need, what makes them sick." Jerry looked confused. "So what? You planning to become a better farmer for them?" Amy smiled. But there was something cold in her eyes, something like that. On the fortress world of Arcturus Prime, Roy Baker was having the most dangerous assignment. Of all, the Valkorian military used this planet to test new weapons and train their soldiers. Humans were brought here as test subjects and training targets. Roy had been a Marine colonel on Earth. He knew weapons and tactics better than most people. When the Valkorian weapons master, Commander Thexus, asked if any humans had military experience, Roy stepped forward without hesitation. "I served in the Earth's military for 20 years, Roy said. "I understand weapons, strategy, and soldier training. I can help make your tests more realistic." Commander Thexus was impressed by Roy's direct manner. Most humans cowered when they saw Valkorian soldiers. This one looked them in the eye without fear. "You will help us test new plasma rifles," Thexus said. "We need to know how effective they are against human-sized targets." "I understand, sir," Roy replied. "I suggest we start with non-lethal settings so you can gather more data from each test," Thexus agreed. Having a cooperative human would make the testing much more efficient. That night, Roy spoke quietly to the other humans in their barracks. Most were terrified of the weapons testing. They thought Roy was crazy for volunteering. "Listen to me carefully," Roy whispered. "I know this seems wrong, but I need you to trust me. Every weapon they test on us is a weapon I learn about. Tactic they show us is information we can use later." "Use for what?" asked Steve Walsh, a former police officer from Chicago. "We are prisoners. What can we possibly do?" Roy looked out the barred window at the Valkorian military base. Soldiers marched in formation under alien stars. "I'm going to learn everything about how they fight. Their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses. And when the time comes, I'm going to teach other humans what I learned." "What time?" Steve asked. "You'll know when it comes." The most important assignment went to Dr. Helen Ross. She found herself on the research station Tau Ceti Beta, where alien scientists conducted genetic experiments. Helen had been a genetics researcher on Earth. Working on crop improvement and disease resistance, the station director, Dr. Vorlock of the Zephyrian Science Council, was delighted to have a human genetics expert. "Your species has interesting genetic adaptability," Vorlock said. "We want to study this. Maybe we can use human genes to improve our own crops and livestock." "I would be honored to help," Helen said. "Genetic research has always been my passion." Dr. Vorlock gave Helen access to advanced alien laboratory equipment. "You will work on improving grain production for the outer colonies. Very important work." Helen bowed. "I understand the responsibility you are giving me." That night, alone in the laboratory, Helen looked at the genetic analysis equipment. It was far more advanced than anything on Earth. With this technology, she could analyze the genetic structure of any species in the galaxy. Helen smiled as she began her real work. The aliens wanted her to improve their crops. But first, she was going to study their genetics. All of their genetics. She wanted to know exactly how every alien species was built, what made them strong, and most importantly, what could make them weak. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Humans were scattered and separated, just as the Galactic Council had planned. But something the Council had not planned was happening. Instead of becoming isolated and depressed, humans were adapting. They were learning. They were positioning themselves in exactly the places where they could gather the most useful information. Jake Morrison, held in the political prison on Vega Prime, received reports about human placements through secret channels. The prison communication system was supposed to be completely secure, but Jake had found ways to send messages using maintenance codes and supply delivery schedules. From his cell, Jake coordinated with humans across the galaxy. Each person sent information about their assigned world, their alien supervisors, and the weaknesses they discovered. Sam Parker reported on mining operations and Krovaxi military procedures. Amy Chen shared intelligence about agricultural systems and Valterian biology. Roy Baker provided detailed analysis of Valkorian weapons and tactics. Dr. Helen Ross sent genetic data about every species she studied. Slowly, a picture emerged. The Galactic Council was not as strong as they appeared. Member species had weaknesses, rivalries, and fears. Their technology was advanced but specialized. Most importantly, they had become soft and comfortable after thousands of years of peace. They had forgotten what it meant to fight for survival. But humans remembered. Humans had never forgotten. 3 months after the scattering began, Jake sent a coded message to every human cell in the galaxy. The message was simple. Begin. Phase 2. Learn everything. Trust no one except each other. And remember, we are not victims. We are students. The Galactic Council had scattered humanity across their territory, hoping to break their spirit and prevent organization. Instead, they had created a network of highly motivated human agents. With access to every critical system in galactic civilization, the aliens thought they had won. They had no idea that their real education was about to begin. 2 years had passed since the scattering, and the Galactic Council was very pleased with themselves. Reports from all the labor worlds showed the same thing. Humans were working harder than any slaves in galactic history. Production numbers were breaking records everywhere. On Kepler 438b, the lithium mines were producing 3 times more ore than before humans arrived. Sam Parker had become the most valuable worker on the planet. The Crovaxi supervisors trusted him completely. They had even given him his own office and access to the mine's computer systems. What they did not know was that Sam spent his nights doing much more than planning mining operations. Status report from Sector 7. Sam spoke quietly into a communication device he had built from spare mining equipment parts. The device looked like a broken scanner, but it could send messages across the galaxy using quantum frequencies that alien detection systems ignored. "This is Amy on New Eden," came the reply through the static. "Food production is up 400%. The Voltarians think I am a miracle worker. They have given me access to the planetary agricultural database." Sam smiled as he entered. Amy's intelligence data into his hidden files. "Any useful biological information? The Voltarians are plant-based life forms. They get their energy directly from sunlight, but they need specific mineral combinations in the soil. If those minerals are removed, they become weak and sick within days. I have identified 17 critical nutrients." "Excellent. Roy R. You on the channel?" Roy Baker's voice came through clearly from Arcturus Prime. "Here, Sam. The Valkorians just promoted me to assistant weapons instructor. They want me to help train their new recruits." "That sounds dangerous," Amy said. Roy laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Dangerous for them? Maybe. I now know everything about their weapons, their tactics, their training methods, and their military organization. Did you know that Valkorian soldiers cannot fight effectively in temperatures below freezing? Their scales lock up and they move like statues." Sam recorded this information along with everything else. "Helen, what about your research?" Dr. Helen Ross answered from the Tau. "SETI Research Station. I have completed genetic analysis of 43 alien species. The Zephyrians are the most interesting. Their crystal-based biology makes them very strong, but also very brittle. A specific sound frequency can shatter their internal structures." "Can you create that frequency?" Sam asked. "Already done? I have also identified biological weaknesses for every major species in the Council. The Crovaxi have a genetic flaw in their immune systems that makes them vulnerable to modified Earth bacteria. The Voltarians can be killed by removing iron from their soil." The list goes on. Sam felt a cold satisfaction as he updated his files. 2 years of patient work was paying off. "Jake, are you receiving all this?" Jake Morson's voice was the strongest signal of all. His prison on Vega Prime had given him access to the Galactic communication network, and he had learned to use it better than his guards. "Every word, Sam. The network now includes humans on all 47 labor worlds. We have people in mining, agriculture, manufacturing, research, and military testing. We know more about galactic civilization than most of the species living in it." "What about the other humans?" Amy asked. "Are they all ready?" Jake's voice became serious. "That is what I need to discuss. We have over 2 million humans scattered across the galaxy. Most of them still think we are just slaves trying to survive. They do not know about our network or our plans." "Maybe that is better," Roy said. "The fewer people who know, the safer." "Our operation stays." "Not anymore," Jake replied. "We are moving to the next phase. It's time to bring everyone into the network." Sam looked at his production reports. The Crovaxi supervisors expected him to submit them in the morning. The number showed another record-breaking month of lithium extraction. "Are you sure we are ready? The aliens trust us now, but that could change quickly." "The aliens trust us because we have made ourselves indispensable," Jake said. "Amy, how many planets depend on your food production systems?" 17 worlds rely on the agricultural improvements I developed. If my systems shut down, those planets would face food shortages within weeks." "Roy, how important are you too?" "Valkorian military training? They cannot run their weapons testing program without me. I designed their current training protocols. If I disappeared tomorrow, their military efficiency would drop by at least 50%. "Helen, what about your research projects?" "I'm running genetic improvement programs for 12 different species. My work affects food production, medicine, and population growth across 34 worlds. They need me more than they realize." Satisfaction was clear in his voice. "This is exactly what I hoped for." In 2 years, we have not just learned about our captors, we have become essential to their civilization. Now we use that position, Sam understood immediately. You want us to start recruiting the other humans? More than recruiting, Jake said. I want us to start taking control. Real control. Amy, can you modify your food distribution systems to carry more than just nutrients? Amy was quiet for a moment. You mean like communication devices or small equipment? Both. I want you to include modified communication hardware in every food shipment. Every human on every world needs to be able to talk to our network. That'll take months to distribute everything, Amy said. We have time. Roy, I need you to start training selected humans in combat techniques. Not obvious training, but basic skills they can use when the time comes. The Valkorians watch me pretty closely during official training sessions, Roy said, then use unofficial sessions. Medical checkups, work assignments, meal breaks. Find ways to teach humans how to disable alien weapons, how to move without being detected, how to take control of facilities. I can do that, Roy agreed. Helen, your job is the most critical. I need biological weapons designed for every major alien species. Not necessarily lethal weapons, but something that can incapacitate them quickly and safely. Incapacitate? Helen asked. We want to control them, not exterminate them, Jake explained. Dead aliens cannot tell us their security codes or help. Us run their systems. We need them alive, but helpless. Sam began to understand the full scope of Jake's plan. You are planning a complete takeover, not a takeover, Jake corrected. Revelation. For 2 years, the aliens have believed they control us. It is time to show them the truth. We have been in control of them for months. They just did not know it yet. The communication channel fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Finally, Amy spoke up. Jake, there's something else we need to discuss. The aliens are not stupid. Some of them are starting to ask questions about our efficiency improvements. A few Valtarian scientists want to study my agricultural methods more closely. Same here, Roy said. Some Valkorian commanders think our weapons testing results are too good. They are wondering if humans are hiding something. Sam nodded, even though the others could not see him. The Krovaxi mining executives are talking about investigating our productivity increases. They want to understand how we tripled their output. Helen's voice was worried. The research station director asked me yesterday how I completed genetic analysis so quickly. I told him human brains work differently, but I do not think he believed me. Jake was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was calm but determined. Then we accelerate our timeline. How long before you can distribute communication equipment to every human in the galaxy? 6 weeks, Amy said. Maybe 5 if I push the food delivery schedules. Roy, how long to train basic resistance skills to key humans on each world? I focus on teaching trainers who can teach others. Maybe for weeks. Helen, how long to prepare biological countermeasures for all major alien species? The weapons are already prepared. I just need to manufacture enough doses and figure out delivery systems. 3 weeks. Sam, how long to identify and map critical infrastructure on all 47 labor worlds? Sam looked at his hidden files. 2 years of intelligence gathering had given him detailed information about power systems, communication networks, transportation hubs, and defense installations. On dozens of worlds? I already have most of that information. I need maybe 2 weeks to fill in the remaining gaps. Jake's voice carried a new tone of authority. Then we begin the final phase in 5 weeks. Every human in the galaxy will know the truth about our situation. They will learn that we are not slaves. We are not victims. We are the most successful intelligence operation in galactic history. And then? Sam asked. Then we show the Galactic Council what humans are really capable of, they thought. They were enslaving us. Instead, they gave us everything we needed to take control of their entire civilization. The communication channel closed, leaving each human alone with their thoughts and their preparations. Across the galaxy, in mines and farms and laboratories and military bases, humans continued their work. Their alien supervisors saw obedient Slaves producing excellent results. They had no idea that their slaves had become their masters. The network was complete. The preparations were almost finished. Humanity was ready to teach the galaxy the most important lesson in its history. Some species should never be underestimated, and humans were definitely one of those species. The morning started like any other morning on Kepler 438b, the Crovaxi. Supervisors arrived at the mining complex expecting another day of record production from their human workers. Instead, they found something that made their reptilian blood run cold. Every human slave was standing in perfect formation outside the mine entrance. They were not cowering or begging. They stood straight and confident, like soldiers ready for battle. In front of them stood Sam Parker, no longer wearing the humble expression of a grateful worker. "Supervisor Hexeth," Sam said in perfect Crovaxi language, his pronunciation flawless. "We need to talk." Hexeth stumbled backward in shock. "Humans? We're not supposed to speak Crovaxi. The translation devices only worked one way." "How do you know our language?" Sam smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We have known your language for 2 years. We have also known your mining schedules, your security codes, your supply routes, and your military procedures. We know everything." "About you, Hexeth?" The other Crovaxi supervisors reached for their weapons, but they found empty holsters. During the night, humans had quietly removed every weapon from the facility. "Looking for these?" asked Maria Santos, holding up a plasma rifle. Behind her, other humans displayed the complete armory of Crovaxi weapons. "We learned how to disable your weapon locks months ago." Hexeth's voice shook as he spoke. "What do you want?" Sam gestured to a communication screen that had been set up in the mining yard. "We want you to watch something. And then we want you to contact the Galactic Council." The screen flickered to life, showing Amy Chen standing in the Central Agricultural Facility on New Eden. Behind her, hundreds of humans worked at control stations while Valtarian supervisors sat tied to chairs, unharmed, but clearly prisoners. "Greetings from New Eden," Amy said in fluent Valtarian. "As you can see, we have taken control of all food production systems for this sector. 17 worlds depend on the crops we grow here. If we stop working, those planets will face starvation." Within 3 weeks, the image changed to show Roy Baker on Arcturus Prime. He stood in the Valkyrian Military Command Center, surrounded by human technicians operating advanced alien equipment. Valkyrian soldiers lay unconscious on the floor around them. "The Valkyrian military base is now under human control," Roy announced in the Valkyrian war language. "We have disabled all weapon systems and taken command of the communications array. Every military installation in this sector is cut off from Central Command." Another image appeared, showing Dr. Helen Ross in her research laboratory. She held up a small device that looked like a medical scanner. "This is a biological weapon specifically designed for each alien species in the Galactic Council. It is non-lethal, but completely effective. Zephyrians exposed to this will be paralyzed for days. Crovaxi will lose all motor control. Valtarians will enter a coma-like sleep state." Helen's image was replaced by Jake Morrison, standing not in a prison cell but in what looked like a command center. Behind him, dozens of humans worked at communication stations and data screens. "My name is Jake Morrison," he said, speaking in the common galactic language that all species understood. 3 years ago, you voted to enslave humanity because you feared our potential. Today, you learn that your fears were justified, but your timing was wrong." Hexeth and his supervisors stared at the screen in growing horror. "For the past 2 years," Jake continued, "you believed you were using human slaves to improve your mining, farming, manufacturing, and research operations. You were wrong. We were using those positions to study you, to learn your weaknesses, and to take control of your infrastructure." The screen split to show dozens of different locations across the galaxy. On every world where humans had been sent as slaves, the same scene was playing out. Humans had taken control of critical facilities while alien supervisors found themselves prisoners in their own installations. The humans you thought were your most obedient workers were actually our most skilled intelligence agents, Jake explained. "Every efficiency improvement we made was designed to make you dependent on us. Every system we fixed was modified to give us secret access." Every problem we solved created a new way for us to control your operations. Jake's expression became more serious. Right now, humans control the food production for 63 worlds. We operate the mining systems that provide raw materials for your technology. We manage the research facilities that develop your medicine. We oversee the military training that protects your borders. Hexeth tried to activate his emergency communicator, but it produced only static. What have you done to our communications? Answered without taking his eyes off the screen. We control your communications now, but don't worry. We will let you call the Galactic Council when Jake is finished explaining the situation. On the screen, Jake continued his broadcast to the entire galaxy. The Galactic Council voted to enslave us because you thought we were dangerous when free. You were partially correct, but you made a critical error in logic. We are not more dangerous. When free, we are more dangerous when you give us a reason to be dangerous. Jake gestured to something off-screen, and the image changed to show a detailed map of the galaxy with human positions marked in red. Red dots covered nearly every important world in galactic space. We now have humans in positions of authority or critical importance on 412 worlds. We control or can disable the infrastructure that keeps your civilization running. We have biological weapons that can incapacitate every species in the Council without killing them. We have detailed intelligence about every weakness in your military, economic, and political systems. The Krovaxi supervisors on Kepler 438b looked at each other with growing panic. Their most trusted human worker had just revealed himself as the leader of a galactic conspiracy. However, Jake said, and his tone became slightly less threatening, "We are not your enemies. We never were. You made us into what we have become. 3 years ago, we came to your galaxy seeking friendship and cooperation. You responded with enslavement and oppression." Jake leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. But humans learned something during our evolution that most species never discover. The strongest predator is not the one who eliminates all. Competition. The strongest predator is the one who turns competitors into partners. The screen changed to show human and alien technicians working together in several facilities. But now the aliens were clearly following human orders. "Oh, we could destroy your civilization," Jake said simply. "We could shut down your food production, disable your technology, and leave you helpless. But that would be wasteful and cruel. Instead, we are offering you a choice." Hexeth found his voice. "What choice?" Jake seemed to be looking directly at him through the screen. "You can continue to think of us as your slaves and suffer the consequences when we demonstrate otherwise. Or you can accept that the balance of power has shifted and work with us to build something better." The screen went black for a moment, then displayed a new image. It showed the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. But now human technicians were operating the communication systems and security equipment. Alien delegates sat in their usual positions, but they looked nervous and confused. "The Galactic Council is now under human administration," Jake announced. "Your delegates are safe and unharmed, but they are no longer in charge." "We are." Jake's final words echoed across the galaxy. 3 years ago, you voted to enslave us because you feared our potential. You were right to fear us. But you were wrong about what you should have feared. Should not have feared what we might become if left free. You should have feared what we would become if you tried to enslave us." Broadcast ended, leaving the galaxy in shocked silence. On Kepler 438b, Supervisor Hexeth stared at Sam Parker with new understanding. "How long have you been planning this?" Sam checked his watch, a device the Krovaxi had never bothered to examine closely. "We started planning this the moment your transport ships arrived at Earth. Did you really think a species that eliminated every apex predator on their planet would just accept slavery without a fight?" Hex's voice was barely a whisper. "What happens now?" Sam activated a communication device and handed it to the Krovaxi supervisor. "Now, you call the Galactic Council and tell them that humanity is ready to renegotiate our relationship as equals this time, across the galaxy." Similar conversations were taking place on hundreds of worlds. The age of human slavery was over. The age of human leadership was about to begin, and the aliens were finally beginning to understand that they had not captured the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. they had trained them. 6 months had passed since what the history books would call the Revelation Day. The galaxy looked very different now. Jake Morrison stood in the same great hall where humanity had been condemned 3 years earlier. But everything had changed. Floating platforms still held representatives from 1,200 species, but now human coordinators stood beside each alien delegation. The translation devices still hummed with dozens of languages, but humans monitored every conversation. Most importantly, the fear that had once filled the chamber was gone, replaced by something the galaxy had never experienced before: genuine cooperation. The quarterly production reports show remarkable improvements across all sectors. Jake announced from the central platform. His voice carried easily through the vast space, no longer the voice of a condemned prisoner, but of a leader, who had earned his authority through competence rather than conquest. Admiral Pete Collins, now serving as Director of Galactic Security, stepped forward with the military reports. Conflicts between member worlds have dropped to zero. Piracy incidents are down 97%. Trade disputes have been resolved through mediation rather than threats. Jake nodded approvingly. Dr. Kane, please share the scientific progress report. Dr. Lisa Kane approached the platform with a warm smile. She no longer looked like the worried diplomat from 3 years ago. Joint research projects between human and alien scientists have produced breakthrough discoveries in medicine, agriculture, and energy production. We have eliminated 6 major diseases that have plagued various species for centuries. Applause filled the chamber, a sound that would have been impossible during the old council meetings. Alien delegates actually seemed happy to hear good news instead of arguing about territory and resources. Jake looked around the hall, making eye contact with representatives from dozens of species. These results did not happen by accident. Happened because we stopped thinking about domination and started thinking about cooperation. In the front section, Supervisor Hexoth from Kepler 438b stood up. The Crovaxi had become one of humanity's strongest supporters after seeing what human-alien partnerships could accomplish. Commander Morrison, the mining operations on my world are producing more resources than ever before, but with better safety and working conditions. My people are healthier and happier than they have been in generations. Thank you, Hexoth, Jake replied. Sam Parker, would you like to explain how we achieved these improvements? Sam Parker walked to the center of the platform. He wore clean clothes and carried himself with quiet confidence, very different from the humble worker the Crovaxi had once supervised. We stopped seeing mining as a contest between workers and supervisors. Instead, we made it a partnership, where everyone benefits from success. Sam gestured to a display screen that showed mining operations on several worlds. Human engineering combined with Crovaxi geological knowledge has made mining safer and more efficient. Workers of both species now share the profits from increased production. When people benefit from working together, they work much harder. Similar reports came from other worlds. Amy Chen had transformed agricultural production by combining human farming techniques with alien plant biology. Food shortages had become a thing of the past on 17 worlds where humans and Valterians now worked together as partners rather than masters and slaves. Roy Baker had revolutionized military training by teaching alien soldiers human tactical flexibility while learning alien discipline and precision. The combined approach had created the most effective peacekeeping force in galactic history. Dr. Helen Ross had turned her biological weapons research into medical research, using her knowledge of alien genetics to cure diseases and improve health across dozens of species. The old system was based on fear, Jake explained to the assembled delegates. Species conquered others because they were afraid of being conquered themselves. This created a cycle of domination and rebellion that kept the galaxy weak and divided. Jake walked to the edge of the platform, closer to the alien delegates. Humans offer a different approach. We learned during our evolution that cooperation is stronger than domination. A pack of wolves is more dangerous than a single wolf because they work together. But humans learned to make wolves into dogs, turning potential enemies into loyal partners. The Zephyrian ambassador, whose crystal form now glowed with blue light instead of the angry red from 3 years ago, stood up. Commander Morrison, I must ask the question that troubles many of us. Your species demonstrated that you could control or destroy our civilization whenever you choose. What guarantees do we have that you will not become the very tyrants you claim to oppose? The chamber fell silent. This was the question everyone had been thinking, but few had dared to ask. Jake smiled, the expression reaching his eyes. Ambassador Zellner, that is exactly the right question to ask. The answer is simple. You have the same guarantee we had. When you enslaved us, confusion rippled through the crowd. Jake continued. When you voted to enslave humanity, you believed you could control us because you thought you understood us. You were wrong because you did not really know what humans were capable of. Today you worried that we might enslave you because you think you know what we want. But once again, you do not really understand us. Jake gestured to the human coordinators. Standing throughout the hall, look around this chamber. Do you see conquered peoples serving under human masters? Or do you see partners working together toward common goals? The alien delegates looked at their human counterparts. The humans were clearly in positions of authority, but they were consulting with aliens, listening to their ideas and incorporating their suggestions into decisions. Humans could have simply taken over your governments and ruled you directly, Jake explained. Instead, we chose to work within your existing systems, improving them rather than replacing them. We could have eliminated species that opposed us. Instead, we helped them understand why cooperation serves their interests better than conflict. Jake's voice became more serious. But Ambassador Zellner, your question reveals something important. You are still thinking like the old galaxy, where power means domination. You assume that because we are stronger, we must want to oppress you. Looked directly at the Zephyrian ambassador. What if I told you that human strength comes not from controlling others, but from making others stronger? What if our greatest weapon is not our ability to destroy, but our ability to build? To demonstrate his point, Jake activated a holographic display that showed production and quality of life statistics from across the galaxy. Every category showed dramatic improvements since humans had taken leadership roles. Food production is up for 100%, but hunger has been eliminated on all member worlds. Military spending is down 60%, but security is better than ever. Scientific research has accelerated, but the benefits are shared equally among all species. Jake paused to let the numbers sink in. This is what human leadership looks like. We do not rule by making others weak. We lead by making everyone stronger, including ourselves. The chamber buzzed with quiet conversations as delegates discussed what they had heard. Finally, Ambassador Zellner spoke again. If this is true, why did your species eliminate all the predators on your homeworld? That action still frightens many of us. Jake nodded approvingly. Another excellent question. We eliminated Earth's predators, not because we feared them, but because we had evolved beyond the need for that kind of relationship. Earth's predators kept prey populations healthy through natural selection, but humans learned to manage animal populations through science and conservation. Jake's expression became thoughtful. We did not destroy Earth's predators because we were violent. We replaced them because we could do their job better and with less suffering. When a species learns to manage ecosystems through intelligence, rather than instinct, apex predators become unnecessary. He looked around the chamber. Today we offer the same evolution to galactic civilization. Instead of managing peace through fear and domination, we can manage it through cooperation and mutual benefit. Instead of strong species controlling weak ones, we can have strong species helping weak ones become stronger. The Valkorian military representative stood up. Commander Morrison, you speak of cooperation, but your species demonstrated the ability to disable our entire civilization in a single day? How do we know you will not use that power to force cooperation? Jake smiled again. Commander Thexus, we already used that power. We used it to stop a system based on oppression and replace it with a system based on partnership. If we wanted to rule through force, we would not be here asking for your opinions and suggestions. We'd be giving you orders and punishing anyone who disobeyed. Jake gestured to the human coordinators again. Look at how humans are working with your people. Are they acting like conquerors or like partners? Are they demanding tribute or sharing benefits? Are they imposing human culture or learning from your traditions? Commander Thexus looked around the chamber and nodded slowly. They are, acting like partners. Because that is what we are, Jake said simply. Humans learned something during our evolution that most species miss. The strongest predator is not the one who eliminates all competition.